our next speaker, Yakoub Badji. He is a student of the Institute of Journalism, Shevchenko National University of Kyiv. He is from Algeria, and as we know, in Algeria, we have conflict too, as in countries who participate in our project. And his speech, Media Freedom and Pluralism in Algeria, Obstacles and Challenges. Yakoub, you're welcome.
Hello, everyone. I want to mention that we have protesting from 2 years in Algeria, but this protesting is peacefully without any conflict or so my topic about media freedom and pluralism in Algeria. The Algerian media landscape has experienced many political transformations that affected negatively the journalist practice in Algeria throughout abuses, arrests, and even murdering cases for Algerian journalists. This paper examines the impact of state intervention in the media sector and its implication on independent reporting, which is weakened by a combination of formal and informal process in media contact. Legal restriction, normative obligation to play just national rule in support of the state as the platform for political messaging with no independent regulatory framework. The progress of media reform toward journalism practice in Algeria is insufficient. However, there are many exceptions imposed in this right, is vaguely worded legal article, as a lack of access to official information is a strong barrier against journalist practice. Established rule of self-censorship for journalists and the gaze of protecting the stability of the country are further empowered by the lack of practical means to access information. In this way, the International Committee to Protect Journalists and this committee to protect journalists had emphasized this restriction. At least 133 articles can be used to restrict independent reporting, imposing undue restriction on access to information, as well as heavy fines for violation of the media law. Whereas, as Article 50 in the new Constitution of 2016 emphasized freedom of the press, and Article 51 declared the right to access information and disseminate it. In the contrast, this right remains limited, excluding the private life, personal rights, and legitimate interests of enterprise, and the requirements of national security. With such judicial restriction, the Algerian media will not reach the strength of professionalism, pluralism, and credibility. As well, Algeria state used the private broadcast sector and press media as a face of pluralism media. As a face of pluralism platform for political propaganda with no independent editorial policy, which is reinforcing the uniformity of content and strengthening authority control by shutting down any media outlet if it's considered offensive or not, if not in the line with the system policy. Private media limited to just limited programs and obliged to disseminate messages of general interest for the public authority and official statements aiming to maintain just the public order. As in March 2014, the private channels as Al-Atlas, which adopted an editorial line against the fourth presidential mandate of the ex-president Bouteflika, was ordered to stop broadcasting, accused of incitement and lack of professionalism. Another private TV channel, Al-Watan, was closed in October 2015 after arranging an interview with a former leader of Islamic Party, then accused of offensive against symbol of the state and the Republic. In July 2016, KBC TV channel was too closed for the same reasons. While the news channels which dealing with political and partisan issue and corruption case were excluded due to the concern it could raise it as creating a new public opinion and a growing awareness to Algerian people against the system. Most of these private channels are yet unlicensed and they are registered as foreign media channels in Algeria. These private audio channels are dominated by a few of businessmen and journalists close to previous regime, most of whom are currently in prison during this manifestation on enormous charge. For instance, the owner of An-Nahar TV, Anis Rahmani, or the owner of Zair TV channel, Ali Haddad, who are known as economic and political baron on the previous regime. The Algerian state has taken control for all advertisement agency, using it as a means to blackmail, forcing journalism practice to refrain from reporting on scandals in economic and social enterprise and public institutions, while pressure on their private advertisers to withdraw their financial support from critical media. As a result of this policy was the murdering for Algerian journalist Mohamed Tamalt, who was openly critical of the Algerian government as a means of improving human rights in the country, who died after medical complication in protest against his arrest. He was convicted of defaming public authority and offending President Bouteflika for posting a video to Facebook that featured a poem critical for Algerian president. Meanwhile, human rights and freedom of expression continue to worsen. According to Freedom House, due to this restriction planned on the media sector, Algeria currently ranks 129 out of 118 a Reporter Without Borders. Thank you.